Hi, this is Erin Lincoln, and I thought it might be appropriate to do a back-to-school project this week for Make It Monday. We're going to be making a easel card that looks like a blackboard for teacher appreciation and back to school. It's really easy to do with dies you probably have in your stash and pretty flexible as to what dies you use. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, you're going to take an existing A2 card base, and we're going to do the technique right off the bat. And also serving as our blackboard, I would cut a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece of smoky shadow or gray cardstock. And we're just going to position that over our card just so we have an idea where to put the easel part of this. And you're going to take any large bracket die you have or frame die you have and just hang it off the edge using that piece of smoky shadow cardstock to kind of give you an idea where to place it. And you're going to run it through, and you are doing basically a double layer of cardstock here. Just run it back through, and you're going to look and see if it cut through both layers. Sometimes it doesn't. I have a little bit of embossing powder on mine, so we're going to use the back side. And mine didn't cut all the way through. So I'm repositioning it again. This is the Mega Matte Stack 1. And what's fun about this technique is you can use any die in your stash. You don't necessarily have to use the Mega Matte Stack 1. It's going to be whatever you have and whatever works. And it's just hanging it off the edge of an A2 folded card. That's going to create this easel. It's super simple and super cute. I'm just going to show you some other ideas for things that you might have that you could use. That's another A2 card. That is Mini Scrapbooks journaling card. That's an old die. That is Mega Matte Stacks 5, I think. And that's the wine tag. So you can see they all work. It's just the different design you're going to have on the bottom of your easel. So you have a lot of flexibility and a lot of play with your existing product. Okay, that's the technique, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish the card off. You can hang around and see it, but basically it's some very simple stamping techniques from here on out and card assembly. Alright, what we're going to do is I'm going to put a liner in my card so I can actually leave a message for the teacher in this case. And so I cut a piece of Stamper Select white cardstock, 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, same size as my blackboard on the front. And I'm just putting that inside, so I'm ready to go when I need a quick teacher card. Alright, this is the Smoky Shadow 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 blackboard piece that I created and I used earlier to position my die for creating the easel. And we are going to be doing just a basic chalkboard technique. Betsy has a really great video about this if you want to refer back and go in a little bit more depth and detail. I'm using Teach and Inspire here and Fresh Snow ink, and I'm just going to add some detail to this blackboard. And what's great about the chalkboard technique of inking, if it's really in a technique at this point, the level I'm doing it, is it's okay if you don't get even ink coverage. So I'm okay with a little bit of imperfection. There you go, and I'm not too worried about that banner because I'm going to cutting that banner out of red. And I'm using the edge of my ink pad just to sponge the edge of my blackboard, because if you look at blackboards in school, all the edges have a lot of chalk on them. So I'm trying to recreate that look. I'm using my finger to kind of smear everything, make things messy, more realistic. And I'm actually just going to take the ink pad here, dab my finger in Fresh Snow ink, and a little bit more chalk dust. Okay, next I'm going to take the same sentiment from Teach and Inspire, stamp it on white cardstock and pure poppy ink. And we don't have dies for this banner, which we are so spoiled. I need my dies. So I'm going to do something that's really rare for me, and that's fussy cut. I'm just, a technique I learned a long time ago is to just blunt cut away all the extraneous stuff and then go back in and do the detail. And if you notice, I'm using my hand to move the paper along the scissor edge instead of using the scissor and moving the scissor along the paper edge. I think it makes a bit of a smoother look. And whenever there are corners or sharp edges in the stamp, that's where I try to make my cuts meet. Because I'm trying to do all the smooth edges and join them up. But we've been so spoiled with dies. Fussy cutting, I hate it. But sometimes you have to do it for the look, like this banner. This is worth it, and I did a pretty good job. All right, I'm putting glue on the stamp on my panel and adhering my die cut to it instead of the other way. Just that way, if you drop your little banner with glue on it, it doesn't get everywhere. Okay, we have 3 apples from the Back to School Stamp and Die collection. Love, love, love this stamp set. I use it so much. And we're just going to stamp these up in 3 colors. And we are going to do 2 open apples and 1 solid apple, just to add a little color. First is Pure Poppy. Now the open apples are going to be on the ends, and the middle apple is going to be solid. I think that looks nicer rather than 2 open apples and a solid. Just a way of arranging your images. I want to do a video on this, like making things look random, but it's really planned out. So maybe down the line, I'll get around to that. The second one is Harvest Gold, and this is solid. And the third one is going to be simply Chartreuse. And we're going to have an open apple again. Okay, I'm going to do the stems, and I'm doing these in New Leaf. I think when you use a green in an apple, the green for the stem and leaf has to be a different color, so it doesn't all look one. I have a lot of apple theories, clearly. And in the middle, we are going to do Melon Berry. I think all the pastels are really good neutrals, and you can fill them in for, you know, a gray or a brown. You can use stuff like Soft Blush, Aqua Mist, Melon Berry. They're good alternatives, and they add a lot of depth. And one last thing, we need to have the little runner on the bottom of the chalkboard that, you know, usually holds erasers. I'm using an oldie but favorite Background Basics wood grain on a strip of classic craft cardstock, which is probably 1/3 of an inch by, I would say, 3.5 to 3 1/4, a little larger than my chalkboard, and we're just going to assemble it all real quick for an easy chalkboard card. I think these are so adorable. What happened was last week I created one using a silhouette cut file for my niece, and after I was done I was like, you know, we could probably just do that with dies and things that we have existing, so let's try to figure that out. So I was inspired by something I did last week to come up with this week's video. I'm just going to adhere them. Now you can kind of imagine if I have 2 open apples in a row and then a solid apple, how this wouldn't look quite as pleasing to the eye. So those open apples are on the ends and the solids in the middle. All right, one last thing, we're going to tie a bow with baker's twine. Now I just know this about myself. I have to tie my bows at a 90-degree turn from how I want my bows to turn out. So I have my card turned 90 degrees, and I'm tying my bow towards me, and as soon as I let it go, it's going to be going in the direction I want. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just know after years and years that this is how I have to do it. You might be the same. If you're frustrated why your bows aren't going in the right direction, maybe just turn your card 90 degrees. Okay, and there's our easel card. So go ahead and dig into your stash, figure out what you have die-wise that might work. Again, the Mega Matte stacks, the fillable frames, some tags. You know, there's a lot of possibilities here as to what you can do to create that easel edge on the bottom third of your card and make a really great back-to-school card. All right, I'm looking forward to your projects, and I'll see you around. Bye-bye.